Hello everybody, this is Purge, and I'm bringing you guys a first-person replay commentary. I'm going to be playing Razor today. Before we get started talking about the hero and how mediocre he is, we can talk about the compendium and how things are going with that. So if you guys watched my compendium video the other day, I talked about how there are rewards in-game to purchasing the compendium and supporting the pro scene. Even if you guys don't care that much about the pro scene, there's still a lot of cool in-game things that you get. There have been more stretch goals added, so if I take a look at those right now, some of which we have already reached. There's now a total of 7 total goals. So if you guys go to Dota2.com, you should be able to see those immediately. The new stretch goals. We now get a custom HUD at 2 million, which we're really close to. We're about $50,000 away from that. We have already gotten the battle bonus. And goal 2, which we've already gotten, I believe, is the courier changes, which haven't quite been made yet. Valve didn't think we were going to get there this fast, so they didn't quite have those prepared for us. But at 2.2 million, we have a taunt item with a brand new animation for all compendium owners. 2.4 vote on participants in a 8-player solo championship 1v1 at the international. And at 3.2 million, if we happen to get there, which is really far away, we get to choose the next hero that Valve releases. And pretty much everybody that have taken a poll on Reddit said they want techies next. So if you guys really want techies, you can buy compendiums. You can buy them for your friends as well if you're interested. But just so you guys are aware that there are those changes being made to the compendium. So the International West qualifiers are still going on today. I think by the time this video goes up, they will be done for the day. So unfortunately, I won't be able to redirect you guys towards a stream. But things are progressing nicely. We're about to get into the B bracket finishing today. The B bracket is finishing, and then we will see the top teams of each bracket end up competing. And it's looking like EG has a really good shot of winning the B bracket. I think they advanced already. Actually, I think EG advanced. And they will end up playing against the second place team from A bracket and such and such. Anyways, that's not important. I don't need to talk about that. But if you guys do want to follow the coverage of that, you can go to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thegoodstudio, and that's spelled the GD Studio. Or just go to Twitch and go to the Dota 2 section. You should be able to find it. They're broadcasting pretty much every US morning. Okay, enough about the pro scene. Let's talk about Razor a little bit. I haven't made a Razor video in a really, really long time, but a couple things about him. I ended up randoming him about 5 days ago, and I played pretty bad. Last hitting was very, very subpar, and I was a little tired, so I kept feeding a lot. I didn't see a fortification last time I played. That's weird. Anyways, a little bit about his skill. Since I randomed him again, what I ended up opt for is the Ringer Protection, Wraith Band, and a Salve Tango. I like this build when I'm randoming edgy heroes that need to spend mana because it allows you to get a really, really fast Ring of Aqua in lane without sacrificing your regen too much. It's arguably a little greedy because hypothetically I could have those items coming to me later, but I just felt like going for it because I like a Ring of Aqua. It gives you a lot of early damage, and that should help me last hit. So hopefully my last hitting is superior. I, of course, missed the first last hit, but I do remember that I last hit much, much better this game than I did the last Razor video I played. I'm choosing to start with Static Link. I could tell at this point that we're against a long lane Timbersaw. He has shown himself in lane. Static Link is arguably Razor's best ability in the entire game, and I'm not even exaggerating here when I say that because the amount of damage that you can get from this skill really does make a big impact. And even if I'm not intending to chase him to the ends of the earth and get a kill, I can still use this for a couple seconds and get a big damage bonus. So it's very, very low mana cost. It only costs 20 mana, which means it's essentially free. It's not something you should worry about wasting mana on. And the duration lasts for 18 seconds, so you can use this for last hitting or harass or just screw over your lane opponent. And something that is actually pretty good, if you're ever against a melee hero mid with Razor, Razor can go mid pretty effectively. You can just use Static Link to really buff up your damage or reduce their damage, prevent them from last hitting well. And that should work out pretty nicely, so you can try that sometime as well. So I think I went a max Static Link build this game because he was a melee hero, and I kind of wanted to just try it out and see how it went for me. So Plasma Field is also a pretty good skill. I think in the mid lane you should oftentimes max this first, or at least get a couple levels just because it does help you push quite a bit. But it really depends on the hero matchups. It's basically just a large AoE, and it does more damage at the outsides of your Plasma Field than at the inside. So if it's at the absolute max radius when it hits them, it will do the most damage basically. If you cast it and they're standing right next to you, it'll do this minimum damage of 180, and it does 2 passes, by the way. So you can adjust where your movement speed or where your positioning is to do maximum damage with it if needed. Did I explain static link? Well, it just creates a link between you and your target, and over time it will sap damage, and if the tether is broken, similar to like mana drain or life drain or something, it will kill them. Looks like Mem's gonna die in the jungle. He actually ended up sacrificing to a neutral, so that was a nice job by him. Third skill is Unstable Current. This is a passive. It makes his movement speed faster, and it has a Purge buff. So if somebody casts a single target spell on you, it will nuke them for a bit of damage, and it will cast Purge on them and slow them for a duration of time. This is actually really good for tankiness levels against certain heroes. Now, if we look at the enemy heroes, the kind of target spells that I'm talking about is basically just about everything Zeus has. His Chain Lightning as well as his Lightning Bolt. There's a single target spell that he casts on just you, and then it will then reflect the Purge damage, basically. So we'll do damage to him and remove a buff. The most important thing for the Purge buff here is generally things like runes, is the main thing you focus on. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but without like planning too much ahead about what people are planning to do to you, there's very little limited resources, or there's limited situations where Purge to remove a buff on somebody is used. Things like Guardian Angel, for example, like if somebody has Repel on them, it could be very useful. If somebody's repelled by an Omni Knight and they cast a single target ability on you, this will remove Repel. But more commonly, things like runes are expected. Like if you're playing mid-roll and somebody gets a haste rune or a DD, if they cast a single target ability on you, that thing's going to be gone, because those can be removed by Purge. So keep that in mind, guys. Against the Zeus this game, I ended up getting this pretty late. But I kind of wished I would have gotten more levels early, because if I ever did end up fighting Zeus, every single time he nukes me, he would take a bunch of damage and be slowed by a pretty good amount of time, which is pretty useful in team fights. But I ended up going a equal plasma field static link build max this game, partially because Timbersaw as well is not going to cast anything on me that's going to trigger Unstable Current. I don't believe any of his spells, I don't think any of his spells could trigger this at all, so I just didn't feel like getting it. I instead decided to max static link. That way, if Timbersaw ever got out of position, I would be able to do a lot of damage to him, and even right now I'm hitting quite hard. So I finished my Aquila, I turn off the ring. Here we go, look at this damage bonus. So even with that, I just did 2 ticks of damage, and I was able to get plus 42 damage here, which makes me hit for about 100 damage right now. So he can't even come to lane right now because I would hit him so hard, and he can't even fathom last hitting it either, because his damage is reduced. And that only cost me 40 mana, and as you guys can see, I'm just about at full anyway. So just doing little things like that, forcing him to spend some mana to escape and increasing my base damage for a bit is really, really useful. So, and I'll go to the side shop and I'm going to pick up some phase boots. I'll talk about my decision between phase and treads a little bit later, but phase basically is generally picked up this early in a free farm lane, because not only does it make my last city near impossible to miss. Stacking that with the Aquila. Aquila gives plus 6 damage to an Agi hero. Actually, to all heroes, I believe. Yeah, it looks. I'm sorry, just Agi. 12 to non-Agi. I wouldn't recommend getting on anybody but an Agi hero, but for Agi heroes, it gives you plus 12 damage, and add that to or 15, and add that to phase boots, and I now already hit for 100 damage, which is really impressive. So yeah, I like the phase boots as well, because Timbersaw doesn't have any boots yet. He's been staying in the long lane, so he's been sapping XP, which means that I can actually be really aggressive to him if I want to. And I have huge movement speed advantage. I have boots advantage, let's see how fast he is. He's 290 base, and I am at 350. If I use phase, I get an extra 16% on my base, which was, I believe, 295, which is a little slow for a hero, but it does get made up for it in Unstable Current later. So it's just nice to have a really good last hitting advantage and to have a really good movement speed advantage over the long lane. It really does help out a lot in the early game. You could argue that I want treads, because static link increases my attack speed by a lot, which means, my attack damage by a lot, which means I want to compensate that with attack speed, because once I finally get a lot of link charges, I could attack faster. So in some ways, I think it might be better to get treads, but in this one-on-one advantage like this, I just kind of felt like going for a phase. Again, only 42 damage boost, but it's still pretty useful. I maybe should have gotten treads as well. I decided to go for a really, really fast hood this game because I was getting free farm. Razor does need tank to be survivable. He doesn't technically need damage items, because static link should cover you. If hypothetically you can sap like 200 damage with static link over 8 seconds in a team fight, and from there, do you really need a damage item? No, you really don't, at least in the early game here. I decided to use Plasma Field to grab that CS as well as harass him, but just trying to make sure he doesn't get too many last hits. But I wanted to get a Hood because they have a Zeus, they have a Nyx Assassin as well. Those are pretty nuke heavy targets. Hood doesn't protect me at all versus Timbersaw though. Well, unless Timbersaw. Some of his spells can do magic, some of them can do pure depending on the circumstances, but it should cover me against a lot of his damage. And I basically just wanted to get it super fast because I figured if I get a really fast pipe, and I cast it on my teammates, and Zeus ultis, it does no damage, and that's a gigantic advantage to us in the early game. So I decided to go Pipe because Razor needs tank anyways, and Pipe is never going to get worse as the game goes on. It's not going to happen. Unlike Vanguard, for example, that's really good early game, and ends up getting a little bit worse later. I figured it would be a really good thing to rush. Now, if I would have gotten Treads with Pipe, I would have had more HP, basically, which was my thought process, and I would have had attack speed. I think I probably should have gotten Treads, because I had a big period of this game where my HP was around 800 to 900, and that's really not that good. I can't remember if I skipped a Pipe or a Wand or not, but right now, 800 HP, I have a lot of great damage items and utility items, but my survivability isn't that fantastic, especially with no levels of Unstable Current yet. I picked up a 3rd level Plasma Field, just because I wanted to be able to push if Timbersaw ever left the lane. Like right now, for example, Timbersaw left the lane. I could turn this into a push pretty easily, but it looked like at the time I wanted to lane control still, which is whatever. I'm pretty close to finishing Hood, and once I get that, I wasn't that afraid of dying. But I kind of think after playing this game with Phase, I never really found the Phase that useful. I wish I would have gotten Treads instead, because I could use that for extra HP, which would have made my Hood a lot more useful early game. And then I could also use the attack speed just to be a lot stronger when I did end up linking for damage. So 3 levels of Plasma Field at this point, again, was just for pushing. We decided right now to push, I believe. So I should have turned on my Aqua a little earlier, and I maybe should have AoE'd that lane, but there we go. Aqua is on. We've got 3 levels of Plasma Field, so we can nuke this wave. I'll have to back up slightly to do a little bit more damage. But we are about to finish the Pipe, and we will now push a bit. So again, the reason you turn off Ring of Aquila when you don't want to push is because if you have it on, it will apply 2 armor aura to your creeps. The aura always applies to heroes, as does the mana regen. But most importantly, the aura applies to creeps. So when you're pushing, you want the armor aura on because you want your creeps to have more survivability versus a tower. It's usually the difference between about 1 attack or so. But that is a lot. When you're this close to taking a tower, for example, it's really important that you do keep it on. That 2 armor can make all the difference. And we should be able to take this tower. It looks pretty uncontested. And at this point, they won't glyph. And I get a tower out of it. So bam, my Hood's finished. I've got 800 HP. It's 9 minutes in. This means I should be able to get a really, really fast Pipe. And I buy a TP scroll, and I think I got a magic stick next. But again, I still kind of wish I had Treads. And the reason I grabbed the cloak was I was a little scared about them TPing in to contest the fight. And if they did end up doing that, I wanted to make sure that I was magic immune. Or not magic immune, but that I had a lot more magic resistance, because I still wasn't very happy with my survivability. I wanted to make sure that I was able to get to the Pipe as fast as possible. So I checked Zeus's items. He really didn't have very much yet. I think he was playing support, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe that he was. I don't believe that he was in the mid lane. I think it was Nyx, if I'm mistaken. I might be wrong there. I'm just kind of going off of memory, and I played this game a day or 2 ago. But a little trick that you can use for Razor, guys, if you ever want to jungle efficiently on the Radiant side, it's actually really, really easy. At this, I was going to jungle a little bit, but then I realized that our wave was gone, and then that would mean that the creep wave would meet, and then there was going to be free EXP and gold. And lane creeps are always better gold than going jungle. Well, that's not the case always, but in almost all situations, especially early game, lane creeps are way more gold than EXP. It's completely, I mean, you basically have to, you don't even have to do damage. You just have to sit there and last hit, and you get a lot of gold and an advantage. So, back to last hitting. 72 last hits at 11 minutes is fantastic, by the way. So, despite missing a last hit or so early, after that I really hit a groove and did well this game. So, I'm pretty happy with my last hitting, despite missing a couple. But, I mean, I hit it so hard now, it's really hard to miss last hits at this point. Unless you do something really dumb like that. Did I miss all of those? I think I missed all of those. Okay. Magic Stick, I think, is absolutely important as well, especially for any tanky hero. Again, Razor is one of those heroes that needs tank to end up surviving and not die. Any tanky hero that does damage as they stay alive should grab at least a Magic Stick. Heroes with examples like this are Necrolite, or I don't know what another good example is. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm looking at other. Necrolite's a prime example. Necrolite, Crobolus, Death Prophet, basically. There's a lot of heroes that are actually really good as they stay alive. So getting a Magic Stick, I think, is really nice. I am regenning up here. It looks like they're shifting over. We're trying to take this free tower. It's a tier 2, and we're a little surprised that we can do it already. But Nyx Assassin's going to be coming in, it looks like. And that is going to be a Zeus. I had 140 plus damage there. I did damage zap the Zeus there. That was a lot of pure damage, actually, so I got a little scared here. And my ulti ran out. I'll talk about my ulti in a second. But I definitely only survived because I had a magic stick there. The hood really did tank a lot of damage. And following that, I popped the wand. I got outside of damage range, and I was able to pop the salve and stay alive. The hood, guaranteed, saved my life there. Makes a huge difference, and magic stick as well. And that was a very close swing. If I had treads, I maybe could have gotten a double kill, but I wasn't quite feeling it. I wanted to play it all safe, and I still got a kill out of it, which was completely worth it. So, even still, all the items that I got absolutely got me to this point. But I think I could have made a double if I got treads. I could have maybe turned and fought the Nyx assassin if I had treads, because the extra I would have had an extra 120 HP or so. But I just didn't feel it. And going back to farming after getting a kill like that is still completely worth it. I mean, if you get a kill as a carry, it's always a good thing. And not dying is by far more important than getting a kill, I would say, for a carry. For most carries, at least, unless you like are a really snowball hero or something like that, then in that case, then it sometimes is worth it. My ulti, to explain how this works, it summons a cloud above myself, and it randomly, not exactly randomly, it targets a low HP unit or hero around you. I think it prioritizes heroes over units. Do you know?
I just know it for whoever has the lowest.
Okay, so it might target low HP heroes, or low HP creeps over heroes, but generally it targets whoever's low on HP and will do damage to them. It does physical damage, and it also lowers armor with every strike, so it does 1 armor reduction every time. And this scales up by duration and strike interval, so it attacks faster, and then it also does more damage per hit. So it's an okay ulti. I wouldn't say it's really cool. It's kind of fun, but I would never really say that it's an ulti that is amazing. It's just kind of you turn it on in team fights, and it hits enemy heroes and lowers their armor, and that's about it. Razor is basically just a hero that stands in team fights and does damage. You cast your first skill, the Plasma Field, and you sap damage, and eventually you start right-clicking. And at that point, when ideally their armor is lowered a lot with Eye of the Storm, you will then right-click them. And we're going to go contest this team fight here, or contest the tower. I got scared pretty fast. We actually didn't even show up. I don't think they saw me even TP in, but they got out there. And I've got my pipe finished already, by the way. It does cost a little bit of mana, but it's not going to be a problem for me to afford at this point. And again, my HP is still really low. Having a pipe and only 900 HP is vaguely counterintuitive. I really need to get an HP item at this point, just because it's going to make my pipe that much more useful. But I bought a TP scroll. My next item purchase was going to be a point booster, because I wanted to build it into an Aghanims. I wouldn't necessarily say Aghanims is fantastic. Again, Eye of the Storm I think is it's an okay ulti, but it's not amazing. But it's just kind of fun to grab an Aghanims, and Aghanims also provides you a lot of the stuff that Razor needs, which is HP, as well as the extra agility is great for attack speed, and then finally some more int is never going to hurt. So the extra HP that it gives you is really useful, and making your ulti better is always fun. It also allows your ulti to hit towers as well as barracks, I believe. So kind of a fun little addition. It doesn't lower the armor on them, which maybe would be kind of a nice buff to add, but there's the point booster, and now I look really, really tanky. For 15 minutes into the game, this is like ridiculously tanky now that I have that extra 200 HP from the point booster. So we are definitely going to be looking to fight here. I saw heroes uphill, and I thought I was like, okay, we should go for this, obviously. I went pretty hard on that. I thought my team was going to follow up better, but it looked like they didn't go in at all. But it still ended up being worth it completely for us. But I was a little confused afterwards. I was like, wait guys, weren't we going to fight this? But regardless, I took all of their nukes basically. Running that deep into 5 heroes like that, you should generally die. But it didn't exactly happen. I did die eventually, but I almost made it out. If I would have dodged the Chalk Room or something, or gotten banished. I thought my team was going to fall up. I didn't communicate very well apparently, and I tanked 5 heroes. I died, and we got 5 kills as a result because of some nice AoE from the Magnus. But that's one of the really nice things about tanking. Whenever you tank, whenever you run really aggressive like that, everybody's going to clump on you really hard. And then if you run away a little bit, they're generally going to get slightly baited, and that's going to set up a big RP like the Magnus used. So despite me being too aggressive, my team didn't follow up. Possibly communication errors, possibly my mistake. We want to fight again. Honestly, I'm really strong here. So I wanted to sap some damage. I shouldn't have sapped from Nyx, by the way. That was a mistake. But I was able to pipe Aosin, and I have tons of damage right now. So I just need to right-click. And Look how hard I'm hitting. I'm having a little trouble attack moving because my attack speed is still really low. But again, I tanked a ton of damage. I sapped a lot from the Nyx Assassin. I could have gone for him here, but my HP was so low. I did not want to chance it. Especially with the tower right there. The tower would have right-clicked me, and tower damage does a lot at this moment. So I also put a pipe on Aosin, which definitely kept him alive. So that was also very good. But I did eat a big stun to start things off. So slowly regenning up to full here. I should have probably sapped the damage from the Chaos Knight. The really big positive was that since I sapped it on the Nyx, Aosin happened to cast Astral on him. And because he did that, the Static Link continues to go through, by the way. So Static Link continued to go through the Astral, which meant that I was trying to do a really fancy double stack here. I can't remember if it worked or not. Let's see. Looks like my neutral actually didn't pull all of the wolves. That was weird. So that's why it didn't work. I was like, weird, I failed on both. You can use Plasma Field to kind of pull all of the creep camps together, which is kind of nice. You can do this on the Radiant or the Dire Jungle as well, if you're interested. But it's kind of a nice little way to farm a bit faster. Hey, it's an Nyx Assassin. That's funny. I accidentally did damage to him. I think he decided that he did not want to fight me. Oh yeah. I was about to use my ulti here. That was a pretty easy kill, actually. They're pretty crazy to try to kill me at this point. Honestly, the pipe just does so much. I should have used my illusion to body block him. That would have been epic, but I wasn't watching. Nyx, essentially, at this point, is very, very low impact compared to what he's used to. Most Nyxes at this game should be able to solo kill just about any carry, but since I have the hood already picked up, it just really does reduce a lot of his burst damage. He's got Vendetta still, but the mana drain being reduced and the stun being reduced and all that stuff just hurts him really bad. Those two heroes could not solo kill me. It's not going to happen. And if I even casted Eye of the Storm, they would have died faster. If Timbersaw didn't have a haste there, there's no way that he would have lived. It's kind of overly aggressive by them. So I've got 3 kills now, 5 assists. My early farm has been useful. I don't think Razor is not a very hard carry, by the way. He is a carry, but he does not want to get really late. If you go really, really late with Razor, you're going to lose the game generally because most of your damage sources comes from Plasma Field and Eye of the Storm and Static Link, and those are static abilities. They do not scale late game unless you hypothetically get insane attack speed. That's like the only way you could scale Static Link, or I guess you could get minus armor or something, but I mean, you can get damage items, but he's a ranged hero. His abilities don't really scale him super hard late, is what I'm trying to say. Static Link is always going to be good, but it is by far strongest when you hit level 7, and it's just going to get worse as the game goes on, basically. It's going to get less useful. I'm not saying it's going to be bad forever or anything, but I should have been Static Linking actually from the Chaos Knight this whole time, but I ended up not. Zeus ends up hitting us pretty hard, and then I wanted to pipe my team. I have no idea why they all got scared here. I think they should just hit the tower. Personally, because, I mean, Zeus just ultied. That was like most of their team fight. We killed a hero. But they ended up banishing somebody on the other side using the initiation, so. Ended up using my ulti. Not really needed, but I did get some bonus damage at least. But yeah, Razor does peak off really hard mid-game. His strength is between probably the 10-minute and the 40-minute mark. After that point, there's better carries, but if you want to do some early game aggressiveness with Razor, I recommend going similar item builds. You need a wand or a stick, you need either treads or phase, depending on preference, and you need a tank item, whether that's going to be pipe or whether that's going to be Vanguard. And once you have those finished, then you should be able to do a lot of early game things as we are going for 21 mana racks. And this is a lot as well of us having a big gold advantage. But at this point, actually, the biggest issue is that everybody was dying so fast I couldn't even Static Link effectively, but that was kind of annoying. But I did end up dying. I didn't wand there, but I did pipe before I died. So the push is still going pretty well, and Aosin was able to clean up, so. Taking a Rax at 20 minutes is really helpful as well, because you have to keep in mind that the creeps that spawn after you take a Rax, they give less gold per creep, and I believe they also give less EXP, right? Is that true? Okay, so they give less gold and less EXP. If we Rax them at 20 minutes, they would have had 20 extra minutes of higher gold and higher EXP, so it basically secures you late game that they're going to have less gold and less EXP from the mid lane, which is a third of the EXP and gold that they're getting, not counting the jungle, of course. So it is really, really beneficial to take an early Rax like this. I don't know if I have Aghanims yet, but I'm pretty close, and even still tanking really hard. Did we even have a mech this game? I don't think we did. That's right, you built a mech after your sheep stick. But we probably should have had a mech earlier. If we had a mech earlier, we probably could have easily Rexed and not lost a hero until the end of the game, I would say. Huh?
That is another item Razor can make.
Yeah. You can build a mech early game as well. I didn't mention that. Vanguard, pipe, as well as mech. I've done that a couple times. It works really good, actually. Mech Razor early game is fantastic. A lot of people would actually say that mech is better than Vanguard early game. I think Lumi ran the numbers one day. He said mech actually gives you more survivability than a Vanguard if you can afford the mana. And Razor definitely can, so it's not a bad idea at all to grab a mech on Razor. I would argue actually probably mech or pipe more than Vanguard, but yeah, mech or pipe is generally better. I could have also built it after pipe if I really wanted to, but I was a little greedy, I guess, and I wanted to get a Aghanims. And also I would argue that it's a little scary to have all these burst heal kind of things, because if you do get chain stunned, you're not going to be able to use the pipe or the mech to stay alive. What I basically mean is, if you have a mech and a pipe and you only have 900 HP, you could still die pretty easily, so you have to be quite careful. It's generally good to have a mix of HP as well as resistance or heal items, so. But I almost had my Aghanims finished, 70 gold away. I was hoping to get within EXP range, didn't make it. And there's the purchase of the Aghanims, so.
Immortality.
Excuse me. Oop, once. Alright, so we already got the mid-Rex, should be able to push in for a bot Rex now. I was kind of hoping to send the courier back, but it was already flying out, unfortunately, so gonna have to wait. If I wanted to go mech and pipe on Razor, I would maybe get like a vitality booster first, which you could make into a heart later. That's another option that you could have. So don't be afraid to do something like that either. So we can go high ground now. We're going to see Timbersaw most likely die pretty fast. And I was able to pipe the bottom before she leapt in, which is really useful. And again, 0 damage from Static Link. I was able to use my ulti and be really, really sad that Faye's actually being useful here. I was really sad that the Static Link gave me no bonus damage again. But we did keep most of the people alive. There's kind of a lot of diving and team fighting. At this point I was like, screw this, I want my Aghanims. So I went to go grab it.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
It would be kind of nice to have more regen items actually. But with the Aghanims finished, my HP is pretty good. My stats all around are pretty awesome as well. And then,
Dire's middle tower is
I forgot about that. Solid 4 stat. Pretty fast as well, but I do end up dying here. I knew that at that point that I had to just commit to a fight, and it didn't exactly work out, so.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So, dead for 50 seconds, good times. I think Aosen said that he was going to buy a mech at this point. Yeah, he had 3,000 gold. He was like, nobody's got a mech, so he bought one. It's actually a great OD item because it gives 5 armor. And more survivability to OD. It's some passive HP regen, another thing that he kind of lacks. He almost always, OD should almost always have an in-treads. So, it's very useful to have. And he's looking for a solo kill while I'm all tabbed. Almost got him. Can't OD that one. And Prophet will leave. You can actually TP while you're Shadow Blade if you're playing Nature's Prophet. If you guys are into that. Mech also gives you 5 armor, which isn't bad either, so. My armor is actually quite low this game. That's one thing that you could say. I don't know what Nature's Prophet has. If we take a look, he actually has a decent amount of physical damage at this point, so only having about 11 armor is possibly hurting me a bit, but it's not too bad. Hitting 16 would also be pretty nice just to get my ulti up to full power. Again, though, it's not amazing, but it does kind of force your opponents to engage. And you can push with it too. It's kind of fun. Would arguably make your middle game a bit better because you should be able to take towers and Rexes slightly easier.
You have my gratitude.
So here we go with the next racks. With the mech up, this should help a lot more. 250 HP heal it's like a free vitality boost for your whole team. So there's my ulti doing absolutely 0 damage to the tower momentarily. Again, hits for 50 physical damage. Even got a last hit. I wish it lowered armor, but it doesn't. Now they initiated. Looking for bonus damage somewhere. Again, 0 bonus damage. He was able to kill the OD here. Just everybody was dying so fast, there was not a whole lot that we could do, so. So, from here after items I would have grabbed, you can do Blade Mail would be kind of fun. You are a tanky hero generally, and you should be able to get some damage out of that. I would go either Heart or maybe an AC wouldn't be that bad this game. Heart, AC maybe. Use my ulti at level 16. I think it's only, it doesn't hit the Ancient apparently, but it does hit towers and Raxus. It also does not hit wells. It's actually pretty fast attacking, and you do have to remember that's like 1 armor every time, so. I think I was getting a Ghost Scepter. Now I'm getting a Sanj. Sanji, oh that's right, I think I decided that I would go Halberd afterwards, which is also not really a bad idea at all. It's actually, I think, a pretty solid. That was my fault, I broke the tether that time. Halberd is a really good choice as well. Lots of HP, some maim for slow, which is some disable. It also gives you evasion, which makes you even more tanky, especially against physical damage. And I could use that offensively against any of their physical carries like Chaos Knight or Nature's Prophet and stop them from attacking me or allies. So Halberd also another great item that I could go in the mid game. I think that was a good choice, grabbing a Sanj, because I needed HP anyways, and finishing a Halberd is a lot earlier than grabbing a Heart, and I would say is arguably pays off a little harder in some ways. It gives me a lot more survivability than a Heart would. So that is Razor, guys. I probably won't play him until I random again, but I had a little bit of fun here. I would maybe adjust the skill build, maybe get a little bit less plasma field and more of the unstable current, so I could dish out more damage in the mid game, but I think my hood choice is great. And that's it. So thanks everyone for watching, and that's going to be it for my upload today. I was thinking about streaming, but I have a bunch of things to do. We have some people over the house, as you guys can hear, so I'm sure I'll be busy with things. And the Eastern qualifiers coming up soon, which should be pretty fun. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Facebook or Twitter if you guys want to see when I'm streaming. It is at facebook.com/purgegamers or twitter.com/purgegamers. More links below in the drop-down box if you guys want to find my stream. If you guys want to see when I'm streaming, you can follow me on my Twitch TV, and then you'll get an email whenever I go live, or you can do the same just by following my social media, and I'll always say when I'm going live. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you later. Bye.